I'll tell you this right now. There is no reason for you to feel like everybody else is doing better than you are. Hi, guys. We are talking about the concept of being behind in life today. It's something that I've pondered, I guess, for a while. I'm gonna be honest, it's something I did struggle with for a very long time, like years. I don't think I'm completely over it yet, but I think I have pondered about it enough, cried about it enough, overthought about it enough to have some kind of substance in what I'm saying. I think this is one of those things where it's like when you see someone else worrying about it, you know exactly what to tell them to be able to be like, hey, it's not that big of a deal, like it's okay, you're doing fine. But then when it comes to you, it becomes like a very questionable situation. You're like, well, I don't know if I'm just making up excuses. At least it was like that for me. Definitely a type of struggle that I went through, and I think that I will be going through for my entire life, because it's not something that you just, you know, and you learn and then you're like okay for the rest of your life. It comes in like dips almost. There's always going to be low points in your life, and I think during those low points is when you start having these kinds of thoughts of, oh my god, everybody else is doing much better than me and I'm the one who is struggling. So okay, here's the first thing that I'm going to tell you that I struggled with the most was looking at everybody around me and thinking that everybody else is doing better than I am, right? That feeling of, especially, okay, I'll say it like this, especially people who are my age, you know, looking at college apps and senior year and just university in general. A lot of the things that we do for extracurriculars and hobbies and things like that is so that they can look good on college apps. And you start looking around you and you start feeling like, oh my god, everybody else has so many better things to put on their college apps. Everybody else has so much more going on in their life. I don't know what I'm gonna say. I don't know what makes me good enough to be picked for a university that I want to go to. And the thing is like, I think 99% of the time, it shouldn't be a real concern. We do have a lot going on in our lives, and we think that we always need to be doing something extravagant to be standing out of the pile. And yeah, some people do want to do that because they have the willpower and they have enough determination, but some people just don't want to, and that's fine because they want different things. And I'll tell you why. I'll give you an example. This year, so I'm a junior, at least in my school district, how it works is we are only allowed to take APUSH, which is like AP US History, it is in junior year. I took World History Honors freshman year, and then US 1 honors sophomore year, right? And it went well. Like, I don't have an issue with that class. I just don't really like history that much, so it wasn't a class that I really like studied really hard for. Did I do like amazing in that class? No, but I had a decent grade in there to be able to, you know, be satisfied with myself. So then a lot of people were like, oh my god, APUSH is that, APUSH is this, you have to memorize so many stuff, they don't actually teach you. They don't teach you, like everything gets thrown onto you and you have the responsibility of learning everything, right? I looked at that and I was like, you know what? I don't know how much I'm going to enjoy this class, and I don't want it to take up so much of my time that it takes away from my other AP classes and my other honors classes that I'm taking. Especially the field that I plan on going into a university doesn't require me to know this much history. Is it good for me? Yes, and I'm willing to learn it on a separate occasion, but I don't need to learn it in a way that makes me literally dread studying, which is like the last thing I want to do. The only way I get myself to study is to make it like sort of rewarding and entertaining for me. APUSH was not doing it at all. I took it for 2 weeks. I quit because I was like, I can't do this anymore. It was taking me like 2 to 3 hours a day just to finish my APUSH work and study for that class. The first quiz that I took, I studied like a good 4 hours for it, and I didn't get a good grade at all. And I was like, okay, this is not rewarding whatsoever. I don't feel good about myself taking this class. The one thing that held me back for like a couple of days from like emailing my counselor and being like, hey, I want to drop APUSH, was the fact that I was looking at everyone around me and everybody was saying the same thing, like he doesn't teach, like this, like that. And then I was like, well, but no one else is talking about actually dropping APUSH. Am I just being a big baby and, you know, don't want to work hard? But then I looked at it and I was like, okay, well, I don't know what these people want in life. Right? I don't know how much time they have on their hands. I don't know what they do in their free time. Maybe they like APUSH, but I don't like APUSH. I don't like history in general. So APUSH is automatically a subject I'm not gonna like taking in an AP level. So then I sat down and I was like, okay, well, why do I feel like A push is so, like, why is it hurting me so much to be like, oh yeah, I want to drop A push? And the number one reason was it felt like it was like almost like I was trying to prove myself something. Like, no matter how much I don't like this, I'm still gonna be able to get through it, take the class. Anybody should be able to do that. And so I looked at it and I was like, well, if I don't do that, then I'm a freaking loser. That's what it seemed like to me. I looked at everybody around me and I was like, everybody else is sucking it up and doing it. Why can't you do it? Like, it just didn't seem worth it to me at the end. And I was taking my second quiz when I sat there and I was like, I don't, like, no matter how hard I try for this class, I'm never going to be satisfied. Like, I can see myself working my ass off in the future, whether it's for regular, like, quizzes and stuff, like projects, presentations, or even the AP exam. I don't think I'm going to feel good in the end about this at all, because this is not a subject that is rewarding for me. Yeah, I'm not going to be taking an AP, I'll be taking CP, but at least I'll have an A in that class instead of like a B, you know? So I was like, okay, I need to stop being a big baby about dropping the class. And I was taking that quiz and then I did not do well because I couldn't give less of a shit. And then I emailed my counselor and I was like, hey, I want to drop A push, I just don't think it's for me. And I did. And I'll tell you something, I learned so much more being in CPUS history 2 than AP, because we weren't learning anything in that class. And I was taking CP and I was like, hey, I'm actually learning something. I feel good about what I'm doing. I don't have to worry about this class anymore. I have a good grade in it. And this feels a lot more rewarding, which allowed me to continue to want to do better in that class. This is an example of kind of going through it and coming out of it and being like, oh, well, everybody else is doing it better than I am. There is no such thing as everybody else is doing it. I'm so sorry, a bird almost just ran to my window. There's no such thing as everybody else is doing it better than I am, because everybody has different goals, everybody has a different life, everybody has different extracurriculars, everybody has different priorities. Why should you be doing what somebody else is doing when your priorities are different from theirs? It doesn't make sense. Let go of the need to prove yourself to other people. The only person that you should be proving yourself to is yourself, so you can continue to do better in your life. And that shouldn't be by comparing yourself to other people, because again, you're not them. The other thing is, stop trying to look free instead of actually being free. Don't try so hard to make it seem like you're ahead in life when you're actually not, or like in your own timeline you're not actually ahead in life, but you're trying to make other people think you are so you can look better, instead of actually being ahead. Like, why are you placing so much importance on what other people see on the outside rather than what you see actually what is happening on the inside? That doesn't make sense to me at all. Free will is real. It's a real thing, and it can really like once you realize that you have free will, you can do anything, honestly. Like, it doesn't stop you from doing the things that you want to do in your life, even if it is a little bit off path of what a regular student that wants to go to university usually does. If you're trying to sign out to the admissions office of a certain university, don't you want to be different? Why are you trying to do what everybody else is doing? Yeah, there are certain things that you have to do, right? Maintain your GPA, SAT score, whatever, certain extracurriculars, volunteer hours, maybe you're getting a job. But there are certain things like hobbies that, I'm gonna go with the same example if you're thinking about college admissions, is like, what are you telling them about yourself? If you're doing what everybody else is doing, then they're just gonna seem like any other random person. Like, nothing's gonna stick out about you. And more like, forget college admissions for a second. Think about yourself. What are you doing for yourself? You're not doing anything for yourself. These are your prime years that you are sticking a label on everything and being like, oh, well, they're doing this and they're doing that and they're not doing this, and or if I'm not doing what they're doing, then I'm like lost and I'm behind and I don't know what I'm doing. Why are you placing so much importance on what other people are doing when it's not your life? Do what you want. That's when you start enjoying your life and doing the things that you actually like and really putting your personality out there and expressing yourself. That's when you're mentally free, and that is so much more important. You get to decide how you feel. You should never be making other people the judge of how you feel and what you do in your life. Like how I almost did that, and I almost let everybody else around me who was taking A-push decide if I was going to take A-push or not, indirectly. They weren't telling me, well, you're a coward if you're not going to take A-push. No one cares. Literally nobody cares. Nobody cares. My teacher didn't even realize that I had dropped his class until like a week later when I told him I did. I mean, that goes to show literally how much nobody cares. You think that everybody cares what you're doing, or that somebody's gonna make a big deal if you're not doing what what they're doing, and they'll be like,
oh my gosh, she's like such a loser and she doesn't know what she's doing because she's not doing what we're doing, and this is like such a crucial.
Even if they think that, why do you care? Like, why? Why is it such a big deal? They're not you. They're not your parents. They're not paying your bills. They're not sending you to school. They're not planning your future. They don't know shit about you. Their opinion is invalid. If you want something in your life, then that's what you need to do. Stop setting your priorities straight according to what other people want and their goals. You don't know anything about them. They don't know anything about you. You can say as much as you want. Well, saying in a certain situation, being like, oh, they don't know anything in my life. At the same time, you don't know anything in their life either. So you doing what they do, you're going into a place, like you're going into a place of unknown. And you don't know if you're gonna like that unknown. And the only way you're gonna know is if you set that unknown yourself in your life. The other thing is have the ability to say no. Doing what other people want. And I guess a good example in this situation would be like peer pressure. Giving into peer pressure in social situations and not having the power to say no, and then looking back at it and being like, oh my god, I don't know why I did that. Like, everybody probably thinks like I'm a loser, and this is kind of that situation of like, oh my god, I'm behind and everybody else is like so much more, like doing so much more than I am. Seriously? Like, that is the most absurd thing that I've ever heard in my life. Have the ability to say no, take that power back, and give yourself the power to say no. Like, just hand it to yourself. I'm gonna be the person and say, it's not that hard. Like, okay, obviously there are special cases where it is hard to say no, and I'm not gonna argue with that, obviously, because I don't know what it is like to be in that situation. But I can tell you when it comes to your friends, you need to have the gall to stand up and say no. That is the only way you're going to protect your peace. Otherwise, you're going to get pushed around your entire life, and then you're going to look back in 20 years and be like, oh wow, I was such an idiot for giving into what they wanted me to do. And I highly doubt you want to feel like that. Everybody's different. Again, I feel like that is like the biggest thing, is everybody is different. Nobody is the same here. Everybody thinks, well, I don't want to do the wrong thing and end up in a wrong place. You think people have never ended up in the wrong place and dug themselves out again? Like, what kind of statement is that? No. If you end up in a wrong place, then dig yourself back out and figure something out. That should not stop you from doing what you want. Like, that doesn't make sense. No. I hate it when people say like, oh, well, what if you fail? Okay. And if I fail, then what? Then what? Am I gonna die? No. I'll just figure something else out. Like, it's not a big deal. I know that I have the power to do this because I know that I have the determination to dig myself out of a hole if I end up in one. I believe in myself. That's all I need. I don't need other people to be doing the same thing and then be like, oh, well, if I end up in a hole, then they're gonna end up in a hole too. So then it's not really my fault. Yeah, it is. You made that decision. They didn't make it for you. You put yourself in charge of how your life plays out. Have a plan. I'm not saying don't let this time go to waste and be like, oh, well, I don't really care what everybody else is doing. This is what I want to do, is sit here in my room and rot. No, do something with your life. That's what I mean. Don't be doing what other people are doing just because you feel like you don't have a choice. You do. It's your life. You have free will and you have a working brain. So do something with your life that gives you a sense of validation at the end, and don't worry about what other people are going to say. Is it really something that has to be conventional? No. You have the power to do something right now. Exploit it and be selfish. Oh my gosh. Selfishness is a topic for another episode. I'm so excited to record that, so watch out. But that's my point. You have this power now to do something that you want to do, and unless it's not harming anybody else or illegal, please don't get me in trouble for saying this. Do whatever you want. It's your life. Obviously, there should be some type of purpose to it, like a little bit, but like, I'm not like, who am I to put the rules in your life? My only job here is to tell you that worrying about being behind in life is the most useless waste of time thing that you could do. Stop worrying about that. Go do something that you're gonna enjoy and feel good about at the end. Don't worry about anything else. You literally have the rest of your life to figure out what you want to do. Your life does not end at college admissions or at the end of your senior year or at the end of your senior year in college and university, or if you're getting your master. Like, no, it does not. You know how many people have gone to university for something and then ended up working in a completely different field or building a different kind of life for themselves? How do you think they did it? You think they did what everybody else did? Like, and then didn't fall into a hole and then didn't drag themselves out? No, everybody falls down holes. Don't let that stop you from what you want to do. If you let that stop you from what you do, then maybe you need to grow up a little bit. And I don't want to be harsh when I say it, but If you are afraid of failure, that's really something that you should work on. And I'm not, everybody has fear of failure. I'm not shaming you for it. I had it for the longest time. But it takes time to get over it. And sometimes, if you want to start something, you don't have to get over it completely. Just do the damn thing. Like, just do it. Just don't even think about it. You know how sometimes, like, when you're jumping off cliffs into like a pool of water, have like, if you've ever done that, the one thing that, and I love doing that. When we went to Cancun this past May, we went to where do we go? Where do we go? It starts with T. Oh my gosh. Tulum. I think that's what it's called, and I don't know how you pronounce it properly, so I apologize if I butchered it. We went there, and there was like there was like this like a huge, like, I wouldn't call it a lake because it wasn't really a lake, but it was like a circular pool of water. Yeah, it was so clear, you could like see the bottom. Well, you couldn't, yeah, you could see the bottom, but it was very, very deep, and we were jumping off this cliff, and I love doing it. I went like 3, 4, 5 times, I think. And the number one thing that I told people that were scared, right, because we were like in this huge group of people, was just don't even think about it. Just do it. Just do it. Nothing's gonna happen to you. Just as you're like running to jump off the cliff, just tell yourself, I'm gonna be okay. Because there was somebody down there like waiting, like if something actually happened. And like, again, no one got hurt, right? And the thing was, like, just tell yourself that you're gonna be okay and just jump off the damn cliff. Like, it's, you're gonna regret being so scared and so nervous and ruining the entire experience for yourself afterwards, and seeing how much fun everybody else is having, and that's not something that you want to go through. Just do it. Just do what you want to do, and you're not gonna regret it. That is what I have for you today. I honestly, like, this is not a hard thing to get over, obviously, and I do think this, it's a very, very long journey of getting over it. It took me like, what, 2 years to get over it? It's honestly kind of embarrassing when I say it out loud, being at the place that I am now. Seriously, I think if I did it, a lot of people can do it. Like, you can do it. I'm sure you can do it. Just be strong mentally. I think the first thing you need to tell yourself is, I don't care what the hell everybody else says. I'm gonna do what I want to do. And if anybody else has a problem with it, then they can suck it up and deal with it on their own time, because I'm not, like, that's not my problem. So yeah, have a great day, have a great night, depending on when you're listening to this, and I will see you next week. Bye.